After a month, we are finally back with another chapter of Galaxias. It's another short chapter, unfortunately, but it is also a very big chapter in terms of reveals and world building. So it answers a lot of stuff, so I'm happy to dive right into all of it. But yeah, it was another short chapter. Unfortunately, Galaxias, over the last couple of chapters, has been very sporadic with its releases over the past 6 months or so. Unfortunate, we don't know if it's due to weird scheduling conflicts, the mangaka unable to finish in time, or health issues. There hasn't really been anything known at the moment. It's just we just had a 1 month break between chapters 27 and now 28. So it is a weird thing to consider. I do kind of want this series to go at least monthly if it's going to be like this. That way we at least know when the chapters come out more regularly, and maybe the mangaka will have more time to make chapters and have them be a bit longer than they are right now, because Galaxias is just really good and they need that time. But again, that's just me, and I do want the series to continue and to go on with a much more concrete schedule. But if even bi-weekly isn't enough, the mangaka should just go monthly at this point, just for their health and for the consistency of their series. But again, that's just me. But either way, we got another insane chapter Galaxias today, and I cannot wait to jump right into it. But before all that, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps, and it shows you guys know the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. Also, an update, right now, so far, Chapter 29 is going to come out in 2 weeks, like normal, but I'm going to be away during that chapter's release. I'm going to be in Greece for about 2.5 weeks, so I'm not going to be able to cover Galaxias and Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest when those chapters initially come out, and I'm not going to be able to cover 4 Nights for about a week or two, depending on when those chapters go on break and stuff. So I'm going to be away for 2 weeks, so I'll come back and probably do a makeup video on Galaxias' previous chapter, plus the new chapter. Maybe I'll make it a double whammy, for all we know. But either way, just want to let you guys know in advance so you aren't questioning why certain things are coming on and we're not covering Galaxias for a few weeks. Just want to let you guys know in advance. But with that out of the way, let's just jump right into this chapter. Chapter 28 of Galaxias, 196 people. Cover image is neraid with military equipment behind him. I don't know why, but this is really cool, and the mangaka is actually really, really great at just making machinery and weaponry and all that stuff. So, yeah, really cool. But we start off from last chapter with Alressia basically going on a bit of a monologue, talking about what happened 6 years ago with the Dragon King Polaris dying, the 28th king of the Dragon Kingdom, being murdered. And the Dragon King government named Yuri Holst as a suspect, and he's still at large. And the elimination of the King Killer remains the government's biggest problem, as she has this kind of confident smile on her face, explaining everything. With Antares is just asking her, where is she going with all this? As obviously she's trying to say that it's good to verify important information. But Antares goes on to say that Yuri Holst was friendly with the king and could have easily gained entrance to the palace. Plus, the fact that he's continued to stubbornly hide himself since the murder further supports participation in it. But Antares ends that off with, at least that's the government's view. There's no need to go all over this now. But Alressia reveals 196 people. That's the number of people that were slain in the palace by the King Killer. Aside from the Dragon King himself, that includes 7 of the previous royal zodiacs that were stationed in the palace. So a little over a half of the zodiac at the time were killed along with the king at that exact moment. As Alressia goes on to say that they could have annihilated a dozen kingdoms without batting an eye, and yet they were wiped out by a mere adventurer. With Antares saying any and all witnesses were slain, there's no point in arguing about the truth now. Our only option is to ask the King Killer directly. With Alressia saying that Antares in this instance does in fact have a sense of humor. But getting a bit more serious now, Alressia ends up saying what she's hung up on is how the council concluded so quickly that Yuri Holst was the King Killer. It's almost as if they were telling people to not give it any more thought. Saying that they were both part of the newly formed batch of Royal Zodiacs from the reorganization. So Alressia thinks that it could benefit them to work together to deepen this dispute. But Antares ends up questioning her, saying it's very unlike her, and that there's enough shoddy pretense right now. She doesn't know if she's learned something about Geo Holst, but unfortunately, she's of no use to Alestra now, as this catches her attention, with Antares saying, "You're free to doubt the government's view all you like, but there is just one thing related to this matter that concerns me. With His Majesty dead, who will sit on the throne?" And that is a very interesting question, with Antares declaring that she herself must become the next Dragon King and lead the country. And to help with her case, she's going to end the King Killer's bloodline in order to prove that she can lead the kingdom. So right now, her killing Geo isn't just by some grand duty by the government. She's going to use this as a way to boost her own supporters or get people to support her in ruling the kingdom, bringing order seemingly. As now it's revealed that, yeah, there's nobody on the throne, but seemingly anybody can be put on the throne of the Dragon Kingdom. And that is something I was not really expecting. So now it seems that potentially other members of the Royal Zodiac, or maybe other forces, perhaps even the Council, might try and instill new kings and leadership for the country. So now, not only do we have the mystery of who Yuri Holst is doing, and the mystery of what happened during the king killing, which now we know there are over 196 people that were killed, alongside that being 7 of which being former Royal Zodiac members that could destroy whole countries. But now we have just the council that's in charge of the kingdom right now, and its laws seemingly just fully sweeping this under the rug, saying, "Oh, Yuri Holst killed them, we gotta wipe out his bloodline, yada yada yada. Don't look further into it." Showcasing, like many of us figured, a grand conspiracy over the killing of the Dragon King and all these people. But right now, Antares doesn't care about the truth right now, and saying that it can come at a later point. Right now, she needs to basically become the next ruler to kind of bring order and lead the country in its state of disarray. And look, honestly, with what we've seen in this series so far, having a new ruler does seem to need to be the case, even with like the laws of, survival of the fittest when it comes to dragonfolk and dragon knights in terms of ruling areas. So maybe Antares can bring some order, in which, yeah, I have some confidence in that. So I like how now we got the revelation that everything going on right now gives Antares more of a personal stake and reasoning to taking out neraid and basically getting Geo fully under control, captured, and executed to boost her chances of becoming the next ruler. I like that. That adds more layers and makes Antares an even more interesting character that we could potentially have to deal with throughout the course of the series. But after hearing this, Alessia says that Antares has no need to worry, as she herself has no interest in that position. But she then asks Antares, "Do you really think it'll be that easy?" As Alessia mentions neraid by name, neraid keeper. He will come here, won't he? Revealing that at some point she was eavesdropping, and is mentioning that, well, Jüks basically put out an unencrypted transmission to his subordinates to try and kill neraid while he was down so he wouldn't interfere, which pisses off Antares. But Alessia ends up talking that this young man who worked the closest to the king as his personal guard, he was an attendant without a title, and is someone who has no public record to remain. And he was the mysterious right-hand man of the king. And he also disappeared during this very king-killing incident, and is now traveling with Yuri Holst's daughter. As Alessia amounts this to some sort of rule of fate, even jokingly asking Antares if she'd want her help with this matter. But Antares, looking down, says, "There's no need. As a rule, I deal with all my problems within my territory. I'll be aggravated if your meddling complicates matters." Above all, and in a singular glorious page, we see Antares tap the ground with the hilt of her sword as it shatters the floor, causing a massive shockwave with an insane amount of force. And I just love the paneling of just the impact of the hilt at the top of the panel going into transition to Antares looking down as she taps the ground with her sword with immense force, breaking the force of the panel. I absolutely love this mangaka's way of paneling shit. It is absolutely incredible. And the force from this is interfering with the electric projection of Alessia as she's just smiling at Antares the whole time. As the windows and walls are cracking and breaking, as Antares, looking incredibly menacing and just exuding aura, just looks at Alessia and says, "Do you really think I will lose?" And just this one singular panel of Antares is just chef's kiss beautiful. The detail, the aura, the intimidation factor, everything is just absolutely perfect. And I absolutely love it. Also, this literally burns up the carpet on the ground too. I just want to add that extra detail. But man, that is absolutely insane. Antares continues to show multiple ways of just how absolutely powerful that she is, and that her sheer presence breaks the presence of the actual manga. I freaking love it. If she ends up being one of the primary antagonists throughout the series, I would not be opposed to that whatsoever. But Alestra, with a wholesome smile on her face, says, "I was just giving you the option. I trust in your strength, of course. And it seems the area's dragon pulse is disturbed, so it's time for us to part." She then goes and whispers in Antares' ear, "Let's chat again in public next time," as Alestra's projection disappears, leaving Antares alone in her room with the aftermath of her little display of force. Also, I love the fact that just Alestra insinuating that Antares needs help with her own problems just pisses her off so royally much. I absolutely love it. It's then that Kerner comes into the room and then takes a spray bottle and just starts to deodorize the entire room. Obviously, from last chapter, we learned that Alestra's electrical currents and stuff like that just causes a very bad sense of smell in the area, so that's a nice bit of comedy, as Kerner is just being absolutely serious right now about the stench in the room now. But she then goes on to actually scold Antares, saying that she understands her feelings, but to please refrain from recklessly activating her power, as she is too strong for them. As we get literally some soldiers outside the window, and they're hunched over, and it looks like that they're just vomiting, which means that the sheer presence and aura that Antares emanated made people that were weaker than her in the general area just collapse and just even vomit with just fear and just intensity. She literally basically had Conqueror's Hockey in that one singular moment. So that is just absolutely insane. I love extra shows of force. I'm just gushing over Antares at this point. No notes. But Antares then asks Kerner how Geo is, as Kerner says her subordinates handed her over to Jüks, and he's questioning her now. As we then transition underground, behind some locked doors, as Jüks says this place will do just fine. I know what Big Sis said, but we can't have you running away. Now then, I have some questions for you. As Jüks is staring down at Geo in this little pit area, as the chapter comes to an end. So, yeah, an awesome chapter that we just came back with. I have no notes. Really great. I love the extra bit of world building and information about the king's death. One, that he's the 28th king of this kingdom, but also that 7 members of the Royal Zodiac at the time were killed at the same time, alongside a grand total of 196 people during the killing of the king. The council just wanting to get all this done as quickly as possible, find somebody to blame without any much of investigation, and Antares revealing that someone needs to sit on the throne, and that she is aiming for the throne, is going to use Geo's execution to literally propel herself up the ladder so that she can take control. Also, a really nice bit of information that Alestra and Antares are 2 recent recruits to the Royal Zodiac after the past 7 were killed. Well, now we have another current Royal Zodiac killed by Alestra from the previous chapter after inciting rebellion, but that's besides the point. We don't know the rest of the Royal Zodiac, if the Royal Zodiac is even complete at this point. Granted, it's been 6 years, so the possibility is still there. But I am absolutely excited because now we have political intrigue alongside this overarching mystery. We also learned that Neraid was apparently the right-hand man of the king, still had no past, and was an attendant to him. It was there at the time of the king's killing, and now is nowhere to be found, and now he has no memory of the events. I got no clue what's going on. I'm excited for it, and the series just keeps getting better and better. Hopefully the mangaka just manages to keep their health up so that at least the bi-weekly nature of the series continues without much interruptions, because if it wasn't for the health problems that he had at the beginning, then we probably would be around chapter 50 by now if this was weekly, or at least in the in the early to mid 30s due to the bi-weekly nature of this manga now. But again, that's just me. What did you guys think of this chapter? Leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments section down below. And once more, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps, and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. With all that said and done, I hope you all have an awesome day.